Welcome here, and we're so glad to have Whitney back with us this week. Thank you, Whitney. Good to see you. I'd like to do just a real quick check-in with the committee members and solicit some thoughts before we kind of dive into the meeting. Beth, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, and I don't have any thoughts to add, but just say hello, everybody.
Great. I think we got Gary on the phone. Gary, do you want to give us a check-in?
Simply say hello as well. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you, Gary. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, looking forward to going over the document a little bit later on in the meeting.
Great. Mac?
It's a check-in. Hello. Hope everyone's having a good Monday.
Great. Phil?
Good Monday evening, and check me on this. Are the 5 candidates finalists in town this week?
So yes, the 5 finalists will be in town, coming to town Wednesday night.
Very good. So therefore, we need to get our work done, don't we?
You do need to get your work done.
Thanks, Phil. Sabina?
Hi, everyone. I'm looking forward I think we're on the home stretch. We're wrapping it up soon.
Clifton?
Hello, everyone. Good to be with you this Monday evening, and I too look forward to closing out strong.
Also, Clifton is driving, so he's going to keep his video off. Daryl?
Good evening. Nothing new for me as well. Just glad to be here tonight.
Thank you, Daryl. Reggie?
Hi, Reggie's here. Happy to be here and looking forward to just keep on making progress.
Thank you, Reggie. And Whitney?
Hey, y'all. Glad to be back. Excited to get everything settled and closed out and see what we've come up with.
Great. Thank you. Did everybody get a chance to weigh in and to speak initially? I think so. Okay, great. So let's jump right in and get a check-in with the mayor's personnel, Dia, Eric, and John. I think we would love to hear about the news report that came out around the chief diversity officer within the mayor's office. And then, John, maybe if you could speak to what's coming up with the 5 candidates.
I will be happy to do that. So the mayor's office with Metro Council has worked to provide funding for a chief diversity officer. It's sort of part of a continuing Metro-wide push to expand minority procurement, recruit a more diverse workforce. It's a very big deal for Metro. I think it's very related to the discussions we're having about diversity and Mnpd. That said, we definitely want to keep our focus on Mnpd when it comes to promoting diversity. The focus of the chief diversity officer will be sort of across Metro, but clearly I think we all agree that there needs to be a focus on this within the Mnpd to start to get the results that we want. In terms of how things are going to go with the police chief search, we are going to have finalists are coming to town Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening. They will be meeting with the interview panel on Thursday. We have asked Dwight Lewis to present questions from the PPC to all the finalists on Thursday. And the way that's going to work is Mayor Dean is out of town, so Dwight Lewis is in town. He and Mayor Dean have been working to take all of the recommendations and questions and distill it down to a half dozen questions that can be put to the finalist. He's going to ask. We're going to have MNN tape those sessions, and we'll have an announcement about this tomorrow. But basically, he'll go through all the interviews, asking questions that the various committees have raised in their recommendations. They'll be taped, they'll go onto the YouTube channel, and then they'll be immediately shown on the Metro Nashville network so that people can have a chance to see all these folks. So then basically, that'll happen Thursday, interviews with Dwight, interviews with the interview panel, and then on Friday, interviews with the mayor.
And then will there be a selection just based on these 3 days of or 2 days of interviews, or will it narrow again?
There will be, we expect that there will be a selection based on these interviews.
Okay. But with regards to that chief diversity officer, is that someone within the mayor's office who could maybe oversee some accountability on the diversity recommendations that we're going to make?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that'll definitely be part of their role.
Okay. Questions from the committee for the mayor's folks? Gary, do you have anything? Okay, I'm going to say no. Okay, thanks, John. We appreciate that.
Of course. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, Dia or Eric, do you have any update for us?
I do not.
I think just the overarching, all the committees are in the slow roll to wrapping up. And so next Wednesday, we have a virtual meeting with the chairs to really walk through what will be either their final list of recommendations or their near final list of recommendations so that we can see it as a whole and just, talk about what that looks like and talk about what the report outline looks like and solicit final feedback from the chairs on that.
Okay, great. Then we'll move forward and see if there's any update from the data committee. Daryl or Dia, do you have any update on data? Did we ever get the numbers in on the EEOC complaints?
I don't recall seeing that. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm. Margie, let me check on that, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, but at this point, the data committee was meeting to help supplement the work in the planning session, and I think that was a very successful endeavor. So at this point, I do not see the need to reconvene the data committee as we have two very good sources of data for the report moving forward.
Okay, great, thank you. Then we will move into committee recommendations. And I think we'd like to share a document.
And Margie, before you do that, could I make one other request for Dontry Buchanan? So Dwight Lewis, Dontry is trying to join our meeting. Is there any chance, I'm going to send you an email and I'll work with you to see if we can get an email to him so that he can be part of this.
Absolutely. I can send an invite to him right now.
Perfect. That'd be great. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Do we want to stand by for just a minute, but wait for him to get in?
I'm optimistic. I believe this is going to happen so quickly that you should proceed, and we'll get him on in a minute or two.
Okay, great. Dia, do you want to share the document, or do you want me to?
Whatever's easiest. But
why don't I share it? Because I did a little bit of work on the document that I've got, adding a couple of things in that you and I talked about this afternoon. So, Dontre, if you could, there we go. Okay, can we all see that?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, good.
Can it be a little bigger?
Yes. Trying to move you guys around so that I can see. Better? Okay, good. All right, so I've kind of got up here as an asterisk in Mnpd to create a 36-month strategic organizational plan. That's kind of one of the things that we've been talking quite a bit about. And I wanted to check in with you guys. You know, when we asked originally for the strategic plan around recruiting, we were given Mnpd's SOP, their standard operating procedure on recruiting. So they didn't have, as part of the organizational strategic plan, any plan or goals, benchmarks around recruiting and hiring. And so, you know, we've kind of been talking loosely about whether or not that should be kind of an overarching recommendation, is that they create an organizational wide plan that would encompass potentially the recommendations from all three committees and the commission. So I wanted to kind of do a check-in real quick and see if anybody felt strongly one way or the other that be an overarching recommendation from our committee.
Margie, I feel it should be. Now, whether it comes from, you know, presumably the entire larger group, not just the workforce group, will make a recommendation that there be a strategic plan. Our point would be to ask that there be some specifics when it comes to these workforce issues. But yeah, I think that should be in the final document the total group puts out.
Yes, I agree.
It doesn't have to have much specifics, frankly. I mean, that's not our job, but
no.
But we can say what our minimum expectation is as far as our own needs go. Thanks.
And does anybody have any thoughts around a time frame, like give them 6 months, 12 months to create one?
I don't think that should be necessary. I mean, the mayor's office, if the mayor's office does its job, then it'll happen. So I don't see a need to put a time frame on
it.
Okay.
Others might feel otherwise.
I think 6 months is reasonable. I know strategic plan can take a long time, especially with all the different stakeholders that need to give input. So 6 months might be cutting it close, but 12 months seems reasonable.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking, really, more like 12 months to give them a longer period of time, along with everything else that we'll probably be asking to be done.
Okay. Anybody have, anybody take issue with that at all?
And so when we talk about strategic plan, I mean, obviously we have recommendations that we want them to start on immediately. So this wouldn't be putting off recommendations for the plan to be written, but going ahead with the recommendations, but being more strategic and purposeful in how you carry it out.
Correct. I think it's just good practice to have a 36-month strategic plan. think it's also something that you can put out to the public. So the public, there's some transparency and accountability around, what the police department's goals are, both internally and externally. I think it's a good way to build confidence and rapport with the communities that you're serving.
Madam Chair, I don't have any issue with the 12 months, but I do think, that it'd be nice, if we could get some kind of 6-month benchmark, an update as to where they are, rather than waiting to the end of the 12 months.
So 6 months to start, 12 months to complete?
Works for me.
I'll chime in as the voice of dissent. As someone who has hired 3 police chiefs and understanding the scope and scale of 1,000 police officer police agency, it will be, I guarantee 100% absolutely impossible for a new chief to come on and assume the roles and obligations of his new job and complete a strategic plan in 12 months. A strategic plan for an agency this size in and of itself will take 12 full months to include all stakeholders and all operations within the department. I think you would be much wiser to hold the new chief's feet to the fire for bringing on board a consultant, an outside consultant that will act as a facilitator for the strategic plan by a certain date, and then ask for check-ins on that strategic plan along the way, because consultants are going to want to get through with the project because they're going to want to get paid. So the key is to get them under contract and get them started. But to do anything other than that will cause this request to be shelved fairly rapidly.
I don't necessarily disagree. I'm in the middle of my agency's 6-month strategic plan. We have a minuscule agency compared to Metro, and it's going to take us about 3 months with an outside facilitator to do it. So if you said 6 months to start, Daryl, 12 months to
I would say 6 months to start with affirmation of a contracted facilitator with a completion cycle no more than 12 months.
Okay.
Because they honestly don't have a strategic plan, so updates go much more quickly than the first one, and creating a true data-driven action plan with KPIs and benchmarking so you can actually report out to the public if you're meeting goals or not it's a fairly significant undertaking.
I agree.
I would not be averse to her being a little soft on this one, even though I think I don't know how you run a large organization without a strategic plan, frankly, but so I think it's pretty obvious to need one. Whereas, the main things we're focused on are very specific and prescriptive and specific expectations to which we're going to have very, a tight timeline. If we were to just simply say, best practices and hope for continual improvement kind of rest on expectation that the organization over the next 12 months takes serious attention to developing a broad strategic plan, that would be good enough for me. I don't really want to. I don't want to tell them how to do it. I think they should be able to figure out how to do it. But if we do make clear that best practices would suggest that they, move in that direction.
Okay. So I've written it. Mnpd create a 36-month strategic organizational plan, 6 months to start with contracted facilitator, and 12 months to develop with continuous work on commission recommendations.
I don't favor telling them that they need to have a contracted facilitator. That may be what they choose to do, but and Daryl, I'll take your point that experience has shown that that's the best way to do it, but I'd prefer to let them have the latitude, I guess, to do it how they want to.
I understand. It's just not possible for them to do it without an outside facilitator. It's a very unique skill set, and the objectivity that is lacking in trying to do it yourself is sort of why we're in this whole exercise. they're really needing a tool to help them measure what they should be doing instead of reporting back to us what they're doing and why it works, which is what you would actually get if you don't have that arbiter of fact, in essence, to sort of say, well, timeout, but that's not how we're doing it in police work in other places. I think ultimately it's going to happen, so I don't know that we actually need to say that and hold their feet to the fire, because no one wants extra work, so it'll probably organically end up in a consultant's lap. So,
and that's my view also. I think ultimately that's what they'll end up doing. I was just referring to less prescriptive, but it doesn't matter. It's just whatever you want to do is fine.
Okay, so let's move into the table. We've got our themes to the left: problem statement, result or the desired goal, the recommendation, the key performance indicators, and then the time that we are suggesting this be completed by. So the first few themes are going to be under recruiting and hiring. Our problem statement, which was kind of scripted for us by the last chair meeting with the mayor's office, and that is the Mnpd workforce does not reflect the Nashville-Davidson County population. Is that correct, Dia?
Yes, that's fine.
The resulting condition is sworn officers and civilian staff reflects the demographics of Nashville-Davidson County. The first recommendation is to diversify the recruiting unit so that it mirrors the goals for the workforce. The KPI would be increase the recruiting hiring unit with additional sworn personnel. The time frame for that is immediate. We know that that's underway already, but I think it's important to reinforce that with one of our goals, one of our recommendations. Feedback on that.
Agree. Yes.
Does that need to be worded in with any stronger language?
Yeah, I think later we get more specific, so
okay,
language is fine as an introductory point.
Okay. Mnpd does not attract enough qualified minority candidates. The Mnpd will increase the number of minority applicants through innovative recruiting strategies. Ensure an applicant pool which mirrors the Davidson County Nashville population distribution. And then we've got a number of different goals here. Engage an outside facilitator to create a strategic plan to increase minority applicants, which includes owners and benchmarks. Draft a detailed 36-month plan for recruiting qualified diverse candidates. Of course, that would be part of the overall strategic plan. Mnpd will offer hiring incentives, such as an academy graduation bonus, to attract a more diverse applicant pool. The Mnpd will offer incentive pay for exceptional qualifications, such as bi or multilingual candidates. And then the time frame on that is 12 months to begin. The new strategy, 36 months to see a population of sworn personnel, which reflects the Davidson County Nashville population. Feedback on those.
Does there need to be the outside facilitator, and is that a different strategic plan from the overall strategic plan? And do we need to clarify that or regardless?
Maybe we can use a different word besides facilitator.
Well, yeah, and also the strategic plan was, I think we'll just kind of rephrase it so people don't think we're talking about the larger strategic plan. And just to create a plan is good enough. That works for me.
Okay.
I like the owners and benchmarks, and I'm just wondering how there will be assurance that those will be met. Is there something that we could put in that, reporting back or how, who would be accountable for this and to whom, I guess is the question.
Well, I mean, ultimately, I think the mayor's office is accountable. I mean, they're the ones who are going to hold the police department accountable. But if we can create some accountability within the recommendations,
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. Is COB an option or a combination of representatives of the mayor's office and COB?
I'm not sure, John, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not, the parameters under which COB operates are fairly narrow. And so I don't know if this is within their scope under their charter. John, what do you think about that? Is he still on with us?
And these are also expectations, ultimately being set by the mayor, agreed to by the mayor's office. And so my preference would be that the mayor's office take responsibility, not just for our committee, but for all the committees, because we're all going to have expectations, and presumably the mayor's office will be the entity holding the police department accountable for it.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe there's just something that a reference to like reporting back, like we'll submit, a reporting based on the measurements defined in the strategic plan annually or something so that there's a, I just feel like I think all of us have seen that sustaining these things is the problem, because they drip and then people forget. And if we establish these standards that are clear, I feel like there just needs to be an annual designated report.
Is quarterly or twice a year too much?
I think it depends on what the measurements are, because I think that it's like whomever it was Daryl who said that got to be realistic in the expectations, and moving the needle on some of these is going to be really a long-term proposition. So perhaps initially it could be
twice a year.
Yeah, maybe that's the way to think about it.
Twice a year.
So this would be the recommendation. The mayor's office will ensure a minimum of 2 times each year that the Mnpd recruits an applicant pool which mirrors the Davidson County Nashville population distribution.
So that's basically classes, 2 recruitment.
Say again?
That's basically 2 recruitment classes?
No, it just means that it doesn't necessarily coincide with the recruitment classes, but just that there's going to be a check-in 2 times a year on what the applicant pool looks like.
Okay.
When we say check-in, are we saying some sort of public statement or report?
Well, the way I've just written it is they will ensure a minimum of 2 times each year that the Mnpd recruits an applicant pool. I mean, the mayor's office can certainly report out to the public what the demographics are of the Mnpd recruiting applicants. The applicants that are applying. Some transparency around that is probably not a bad idea.
But I think Whitney's just saying, if you want to know, who are we reporting to? Are they reporting this to the mayor? Then the mayor, like you're saying, Margie, publicly reporting it out? or is that part of what we need to do? Figure out who to report to. We're asking for a report, but to who?
Madam Chair, this is question. You are using, you closing out your sentence with the word distribution. Are you using that word distribution interchangeably with population?
Yes. You mean to put population?
I would.
All right, so that's adding a recommendation that the mayor's office or the Mnpd will report to the community the demographics around the applicants for Mnpd police officer candidate. How do we feel about hiring incentives?
How are we thinking that would work?
Well, upon graduation from the academy, you get a bonus. It could be a $500 bonus. It could also be, you could get pretty creative and say you get, an extra 2 days of annual leave, or you get an extra,
Is this for all members of the class?
Yes, who graduate from the academy.
I guess, I just don't know. Have we seen any data that sort of would hint that that's the reason the classes aren't diverse? Is that there's a need for, I don't know if that necessarily translates into a more diverse class.
I think we're just trying to think about what we could offer in the way of incentives that would attract more people. And money does attract people. Daryl, what do you think?
I think money does attract people, and I think figuring out how to incentivize them to finish is good. What other agencies through the other states, not just Tennessee, have found is a lot of times people aren't brought on as staff until they complete academy, and that's a non-sponsored recruit versus a sponsored recruit. So since we know the true cost of staffing in terms of overtime, we know the cost of all these other things, I think maybe it would be wise for Mnpd to look at just going straight to more sponsored positions, especially for well-vetted candidates that we feel are fairly certain of getting through both the academy and the background, because that's the biggest struggle for a young married couple if dad has to try to get through the academy and get all this done and not get paid for 90 days or 4 months. I think that's a pretty big barrier to entry into the police force. And that goes across all races and all genders. You just can't not have money coming in. So I think it's a good conversation. I don't know how to structure it. I throw it back to you guys to think about, but I know that is a hurdle to get people in and through the academy.
And I think we also talked about it from the standpoint of retention. if you had benchmarks along the way at 3 years, at 5 years, whether that's in the way of extra time off or, education pay incentives or, daycare or, we just wanted to come up with incentives, I think, to try to improve the retention numbers.
That's an item that shows up quite often in many organized labor groups, MOUs, memorandums of understanding, and there are a variety of things. Most of them are in 5-year increments, and they just go for the cold hard cash. But it seems to work because retention is really expensive in our first responders.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about extra pay or incentive pay for exceptional qualifications such as bilingual or multilingual? I think that's a special skill. It's an extremely important skill if we want to try to relate to the various populations in Davidson County.
That's another item that shows up typically in organized labor MOUs, and it's called, we used to call it Spanish pay in California, but it's now referred to as bilingual pay. Mm-hmm. And it's a percentage of your hourly wage for straight time hours worked, I should say. And it's for any of the languages that would tend to be native in the region. So if you have some strange Alaskan Eskimo language that is not likely to be used, it wouldn't qualify. So there has to be a fairly broad path of research done for the different and typical customary languages spoken in the Tennessee area. But that's another thing that one of the things we read was we don't like when neighbors interpret for officers or children interpret for officers. So if we can incentivize officers to declare that they do know the language and pass a test through human resources that they can qualify for the language, instead of having children, neighbors facilitate the conversations, you would call another officer that's on duty that does know the language, and they would have to come out of their zone to yours to do that for you. So again, typical and good stuff, because then you can control the flow of the conversation and know that it's accurate.
Yeah, and I think, Sabina, I'd love for you to weigh in here. I know we have a substantial Kurdish population, Somali population. So we're, I think, beyond just Spanish speaking, I think we'd love to see some additional officers with different foreign language capabilities.
Yeah. I've heard they haven't like given them the credit or for doing it. Like they're already doing that, and it's so valuable, not just the language, even in communities that are immigrant that they don't know the language. Just seeing another immigrant come in can be calming in an intense situation. So, but being intentional about sharing and giving them the skill sets and utilizing the skill sets they have to interact with those communities.
Yeah, and I think there's a cultural competency piece there that we don't think about. It goes beyond the language, as you say, Sabina. When somebody comes into a household of a foreign language speaker, not just having somebody who's taken that in college, but having somebody who is of that cultural background, there's a competency issue there that's very, very helpful.
Yeah. And just valuing that officers needed. If you get the officers from those backgrounds, that's the best thing. You can do the training, but yeah, having the officers of those backgrounds is important.
That sort of goes to what Deputy Chief Loki said, which is sort of start hiring for, character. I know that Chief Balcom and Chief Meese talked about that. Hiring for character, you can train for skills and ability, but also hire for culture, and you can train policing skills.
Yeah.
Okay, so what other incentives might we want to recommend?
What about some type of housing incentive?
So after you've been on a certain period of time, for instance, 5 years or 7 years, you get a break on your property taxes. If you own within Davidson County.
Yeah.
Is that going under recruiting or retention?
Yeah, it probably goes under retention. Yeah.
Do we have anything in place for referrals from other officers?
Nope.
That would be great.
You know, we have that at our company, and it's amazing how many people take advantage of it. And also, if they hear about the culture from someone else who's already in it, it's a little bit more authentic.
And I would probably say they got to get all the way through the academy. It shouldn't just, you can't just turn in names, but.
And yeah, I like that a lot. And I would encourage people to mentor them.
Yeah, you know? Graduate from the academy.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Do you want
go ahead.
Do you want this specific for minority candidates? I mean, then you can just be stacked with more white candidates.
Yeah, well, that's a great point. I don't think that you could, you know, only do this for minority candidates, though.
Margie, can you hear me? This is Gary.
Yes, Gary, go ahead.
Thank you. I was evidently muted, but what I would like to say, going back, and by the way, I like what I'm hearing about the different types of incentive, the stipend, if you would, in the property tax. I would wait a little longer rather than give it on the front end, the property tax relief. And history shows that the majority of the people that leave the police department, other than the ones that obviously fell out of the academy, we need to try to address that. But once they're out and they're in the police department, once they reach that plateau of they qualify for a pension system and are able to take their insurance with them, they leave and go to another department for various reasons. So, and I think that is now, I believe, they vest in their pension system at 10 years. So we got to figure a way to keep them beyond the 10 years too. And I think the way you do that is, especially the minorities, the way you do that is provide them a better path toward moving up ranks, if you would, through promotional process. So if they have a better opportunity to promote, they'll stay. But if they don't, then they're obviously going to be looking for somewhere else to go. And it's not always, they're not always leaving Nashville for better pay either. They're leaving for various reasons.
Agreed. Okay. So I think we want to do something around that under retention. So we're still under recruiting and hiring. The next one is increase diversity within the policing agency, hiring directly from Nashville's communities to eliminate a barrier to community engagement and promote a culture that resembles equity and inclusion. Increase digital efforts to recruit Mnpd candidates, hire digital marketing agency or personnel to create an engaging and inspiring campaign to create interest in a policing career for minority candidates. If you're gonna, I'm doing this right now in my own agency. If you're going to diversify your workforce, you're going to have to be very intentional about it. Sometimes that makes people uncomfortable, but if you aren't intentional about it, you will not end up with the desired results that you're seeking. And I realize that this could potentially cost money, but would probably be worth it in the end. And we could put a longer time frame on this. We have 12 months on it. We could go to 24 months if we needed to. And maybe we could, you know, it wouldn't be unheard of to get somebody to do it pro bono or for a, you know, discounted price, although sometimes that creates a quid pro quo issue.
Is there another way? I guess we can't actually say that, but it'd be nice if we could get them to hire a minority digital or marketing agency. But I don't know if that's something specific we could say.
We could say something on the lines of a digital marketing agency or personnel who are experienced in this type of work.
Okay. Anybody object to that?
I don't object to that, but that is certainly a task for the new diversity officer to look into as far as the city's procurement process.
I'm so sorry. Could you say that again? I missed the end of it.
It's certainly a task for the city's new diversity and officer to look into for the city's procurement process.
Okay.
So I've changed that to read hire digital marketing agency or personnel who have a background and experience in diversity engagement to create an inspiring campaign to create interest in a policing career for minority candidates. Does anybody see say again, Gary?
I was just bragging on you. I said, it sounds like a lawyer wrote that.
Not a lawyer. Got a lot of those though. Okay, does anybody want to engage on the language in any of that? And I pushed out the timeline to 18 to 24 months. Okay. All right, next, still under recruiting and hiring. Let's see, the diversity within the Mnpd must permeate all ranks from police officer through the command staff and chief's office. Top-down goals for diversity are paramount. So the new chief will set aggressive and optimistic goals for recruiting applicant diversity, eliminate possible barriers and disqualifiers to diversity hiring. And I'm thinking back on what Fred Fletcher talked about, if you've got a young minority candidate who had, while in high school, had some friends who were in gangs, if you're hiring from a neighborhood that is overrun with gangs, it's likely you're going to live next door to gang members or have been to school with gang members or have a relative who's a gang member. And is that creating barriers for hiring?
Are you saying that is creating barriers or you're asking?
I think we want to eliminate those barriers where we can.
Yes. So as I go to eliminate those barriers and perhaps that candidate reviewed on a case by case basis, is that what we're saying?
Yes, I think we want to try to eliminate barriers of perception.
Okay.
I sort of thought it was more of a systemic change, like an overall change in eliminating those barriers, that kind of language that excludes people.
Right. Are you okay with this language, Whitney?
Yeah.
Okay. So then we also had under this, create an executive diversity officer with support staff, which answers to the chief of police. And I know that David had wanted to make sure that that was budget net neutral. So that was a reorg, not an add-on.
Yeah, I mean, well, first, I'm kind of now wondering, is this redundancy? If the mayor's going to be creating, chief diversity officer, well, actually, excuse me. When I read this, I assumed we were talking about a chief diversity officer within the police department. So, and I had some questions about that, about whether that was really a good use of money, because the culture, these sort of things should be commitments by the police, police chief and the mayor's office. So I was not really in favor of this internally, but now if the mayor's office is creating an executive diversity officer, that even further kind of, it seems redundant to me. It seems, from what John Button said earlier, and maybe John can speak to it a little bit more, I would hope that, the capacity of that office could cover this. I just, as well, within the police department, it doesn't seem like a good way to spend money. I mean, we're really trying to make sure more police officers are for various communities, not necessarily administrative people. I mean, administrative is nice, and that's great, but I'd rather see the resources go to raise wages. And now, with the mayor's proposal, or maybe it's a creation now, I would hope that citywide diversity officer could take responsibility for this.
David, this is Phil. Could I piggyback on what you're just saying? Is there any way possible we could put in there that somebody would have the additional responsibility to coordinate with the individual that's in the mayor's office to cover subjects so that, it doesn't get lost in the stream somewhere?
It seems like we could. If John Button is still listening, or Dee or somebody, can y'all share your expectations as far as the ability of a metro-wide chief diversity officer to fulfill the specific needs we're talking about within the police department?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the position is quite new. Eric, do you want to take a pass at that question?
Yes. One, the chief diversity officer actually will not be in the mayor's office. It will be housed in the finance office. That was done specifically so it would not be, I think, from the council, so that there would not be a turnover if there's a new mayor. So this person would be working with the mayor's office, along with, I believe, the Equal Business Opportunities Office, if I'm reading that correctly. And so this would not necessarily be from the mayor's office itself. This would actually be a person out of finance, if that kind of helps to answer some of that question. Just to give more fairness to not necessarily being housed in the mayor's office, but being more of working for the whole city of Nashville from the government standpoint, if that helps out.
So I'm thinking, well, we have this under hiring and recruiting, and but it seems like as you go into promotion, retention, and culture, that it would make sense to have someone within the department kind of overseeing and being accountable, like officers can directly go to and seek any help or guidance on that. And because we have other recommendations where it makes sense to have someone within the department. I know the police chief is supposed to get together with the mayor, but I think you need somebody there to make sure that these recommendations are being implemented, and there's we talk about ways of How do you complain about different issues? You need someone there. That's how I feel like.
Couldn't that be the responsibility of the head of the police department's HR department?
Is that working now?
Well, it hadn't been an expectation. I mean, the mayors have not insisted on this, so it hadn't happened. You know, the police chief reports to the mayors. You know, the mayors have been silent, and so it has not changed. And so if the mayor's now going to say this is an expectation, that'll go to the police chief. Police chief presumably will make that an expectation of the head of HR. And
yeah, this is Gary. I was going to actually say the same thing. Is there not an administrative position already within the police department, whether it be HR or somebody else, that couldn't oversee that?
So here's my thoughts on that. This is a pretty nice growing trend within law enforcement agencies to reorganize existing personnel, to put either an Office of Diversity or someone who answers to the chief that is in charge of things like Title VII training, hiring, and equity. I know that at the TBI, the executive officer there oversees all of that and is a diversity expert. And so my thought was that it was also a way to infuse some additional diversity into that senior level command staff, which is overwhelmingly white male. Especially if you created a position that answered to the chief, that oversaw things like Title VII, fair and impartial policing training, just sort of bumped along on top of all these different units and ensured some equity and inclusion. And then that particular person would liaise with this new chief development or this new chief diversity officer in the mayor's finance office. I've pushed it down to culture, so why don't we revisit it again when we get down to the bottom and press forward if that's okay, and see where we can keep building consensus, because I think we've got consensus at least this far down. Is that okay?
Works for me.
Okay. All right, so the next recruiting and hiring still. To improve policing perceptions within minority communities, Mnpd must diversify its workforce to reflect the Davidson County population. We'll take out distribution. Hiring for character will support the development of a police force that reflects Nashville-Davidson County demographics and character expectations. And establish a new hiring process that emphasizes character first, develop training that fosters the necessary skills, knowledge, and abilities. And I think this is a combination of what we heard from Chief Spalkham and Meese, as well as Chief Loki. Set a minimum character requirement and train for knowledge, skills, and ability. Assess culture of academy and training practices. And then a second goal there is undergo a cultural competency assessment of the hiring practices for increased candidate development. And that may be a little high level-ish.
One thing, I think it might not actually even be a thing. But should that say establish new recruiting and hiring processes? Because I wonder if it's like a dual, the recruitment needs to focus on character as well as the hiring process. Or that might be a little nitpicky.
Nope, that's totally fine. Does anybody have any discussion there? Or just, does anybody have any thoughts generally on the idea of hiring for character first? All right. So how do we feel about this idea of a cultural competency assessment of the hiring practices? And maybe that belongs down in cultural in culture, but it also has to do with the way we hire and recruit. We've got this up. Oops.
I would put it in culture and just like stress that the culture competency should include recruiting, hiring, and retention practices.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Increase diversity training throughout the Mnpd Academy staff. Do we want to keep that or take it out?
Does anybody know what the makeup of the academy staff is?
Is that in the level set, Dia?
I didn't quite hear the question.
Do we know what the breakdown of the academy staff is? What the demographics are? Reggie, do you know?
I do not know. Not at this point in time. They do change out the staff sometimes 2 to 3 years. So right now, I'm not sure what that makeup is.
So instead of saying increase, should we say maintain?
Sounds like a good word to me.
Yeah, I'd say maintain a diverse training staff.
Sorry, are we saying a diverse, like that the staff is diverse, or that they go through diversity training?
That the staff is diverse. If you're looking for diversity, you need it in the training academy as well as the police department.
Well, it's kind of hard to maintain if you don't know what exists.
Well, that's the reason I say that if the language is maintain a diverse training staff at the academy.
So it sounds to me, Margie, like there are two things there, which is maintain a diverse Mnpd training academy staff and then increase diversity training among the academy staff.
You know what, I need to assume something, but I'm going to assume that the academy staff would be the ones teaching diversity at the academy. So therefore, they should already have had the training, but I see where you're coming from. If you want to add that in there.
We'll highlight that and do a check on that.
I can tell you as a former firefighter, our firefighter staff taught diversity training. And so in order to teach it, you have to have had the training. So maybe the police department is different.
So how about this hire outside experts to conduct thorough assessment of culture competency within policies, testing, and training classes? Do we move that to culture or do we take it out altogether?
I don't think we take it out.
Let's move it. All right, so we're moving on to retention. We've got force demographics show that attrition affects Black officers earlier and women and Latino officers are the youngest demographic on the force. Mnpd institutes standard practices to retain existing Black male, women, Latino, and other non-white officers in the force. So to do that, utilize a workforce development strategy to improve retention rates for minority officers. increase promotional opportunities and assignment differentials to attract minority candidates.
I guess for the workforce development strategies, then that's where you can put mentorship. And I mean, that's where that would come in.
Okay.
I think I would also like if there was something that mentions specifically like transparency on the promotion process.
Could you be a little bit more specific?
So something like that, create minority mentoring program to encourage a promotional track for MNPD police officers. Sabina, is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah, that sounds good.
I missed whoever spoke last. Say what you said again.
Was that yeah, something about either like an increase in transparency around the promotional process.
And this is Reggie. My follow-up was that I think you have to be more specific than that.
So let's put a pin in that until we get to promotion. We're going to get there in about 2 minutes, hopefully. We're on retention. And I love that add-on, Sabina, the Create Minority Mentoring Program. So do we want to use more stronger language around these two statements right here? Set aggressive goals to improve retention rates, or improve retention rates for minority officers. What's a better way to say that? Those lack specificity, and they really aren't. They're a very sort of general and vague recommendation.
I mean, we had so many times selecting population. I don't know, is that, you want to mention that again?
I would.
Say it again, you cut out.
To reflect the population, like the goals is that that minority communities reflect the population of minority communities in Nashville.
No, this is Coach, and that's what I was going to say. Set aggressive goals that would reflect the minority populations that exist in Nashville, Davidson County.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should even say something like that. That's the baseline. I mean, that's the measurement, right?
Yeah.
Is that to be consistent with the population of Nashville?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So that's changed to set aggressive goals to improve retention rates so that MNPD reflects the population of Nashville, Davidson County. And so the second one was improve retention rates for minority officers. I think there's got to be some sort of, there's no way to know how to do that until we know why they're leaving. Are they leaving for other departments? Are they leaving for better pay? Are they leaving because of lack of opportunity? Are they leaving because the culture is not good? What are the reasons that they're leaving?
Wait.
Oh, sorry. Whoever that was can
No,
talk.
I'm sorry, it's Beth. And I was curious, and sorry if I missed this from an earlier conversation, but are there currently exit interviews? And is there a way to access that data historically, or would that be something we would want to put in for the future?
That was sort of my question. We asked for that early and we couldn't get it. But we could put something in there like do a 3-year internal study or 2-year internal study to determine
Exit rate.
yeah, in other words, determine why folks are leaving, but say it in a better way than that. But yes.
Probably 2-year study.
Okay.
It's Gary. I can give you one example of a black officer friend of mine that resigned, and he was tired of the administrative having their thumb open. Did you hear my comment?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So I said, conduct a 2-year study of exit interview data to determine why minority officers left Mnpd. Utilize data to improve retention rates for minority officers.
Hey, this is Reggie.
Yeah.
I think an exit interview is a good idea, but however, I have encountered some officers on their exit interviews who really did not put a lot into that exit interview based on the fact that they may have to be used as a reference. If they call back and say, did they leave in good standings, they felt like if they'd have put really down some of the things that really caused them to leave, that they may not have gotten a good reference. I don't know if a possible survey from an additional survey that could be sent somewhere else would maybe give you the true meaning. But if they go and seek another job and they have to use the police department as a reference, they're not going to put it really down some of the real reasons are really why we're leaving.
Okay. So conduct a 2-year study of exit interview data and conduct internal surveys to determine why minority officers left.
No,
So
it's gonna have to be some kind of external survey that is almost anonymous, like some kind of survey company or something where they can, maybe once they leave, they'll automatically get one and they can fill it in, mail it back in. Because even emails, you can trace them through email. So something that would automatically be sent out once they're leave, and then they can fill that out and mail it back in, and not, with no return address, no anything. Like the gentleman was saying, I think that was Gary, I'm sorry, where, they don't feel like there'll be some kind of retribution on their answers, and we can try to get some honest answers.
If I might follow up, Madam Chair, I would suggest do exit interviews with all officers leaving and see if there's a difference between minority officers leaving and your white officers leaving. Or is it the same reason they're all leaving? And you may be able to determine, have a better read then if there's a difference in why minorities are leaving. And they may feel like they're leaving because of discrimination within the department. Or they may leave because they feel like there's not equal opportunity for promotion. But unless you compare the exit interview to those of the white as well, you'll never be able to read that.
Yeah, I didn't put a only survey or look at minority candidates. So I do take your meaning, Gary. All right.
This is Reggie one more time. I do think Gary does bring up a really good point on that as well. The biggest issue with police officers is that they don't feel like that the survey is confidential. If they know for sure that the survey is confidential and is not going to get back to the police department, they will tell you the truth. Most officers believe some type of way that is going to get back and is going to hurt them in the long run. So they just kind of say what they need to say. So if there is some type of way that is, you can definitely make them feel comfortable, you would really get a lot of truthful answers. I just want to, make sure you know that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think police officers are terribly paranoid. And there are ways to do blind surveys. But there are going to be some, Reggie, that are never going to, they just not going to buy it. I completely agree.
And that's why I was saying, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Mac.
I was just saying, that's why I was saying some type of external type, company to utilize where, like you said, John Brown leaves the police department, you turn John Brown's name into the survey folks, and, a survey goes out, and we don't know when John Brown, John doesn't have to put his name or anything on it. It's paper, so there's no email, there's nothing connected to him. The envelope, even the return address on the envelope might be the police department to ensure that they go back to the police department. And the only thing we'd be looking for sure is if they were, maybe black or white or whatever, so we could determine those answers, but nothing on their personal whatsoever that can determine, that he was John Brown, that left. And it can be sent in ready. He could wait a month, 6 months, it just in terms of, so it could just be random. He quit, in May and he sent it in the end of May. Well, we know that was John Brown. You know what I'm saying? It can be sent at any time. And there may be some newer ways to be able to do that. But that's the whole point of it. So they can feel more confident in that it's just a random survey. We can't figure out John took that in.
Okay, we'll put in the word anonymous in there, just knowing that, as Reggie says, he's correct. Some will never buy it. But it still, I think, is a good recommendation. All right, let's move to promotion. I have in here that we need a problem statement where we utilize the level set data. So I'll work on that in the next couple of days. The supervisory staff through sergeant, command staff, chief will reflect current demographic distribution, demographic population. I'll change that. In Nashville, Davidson County, prioritize the promotion of qualified minority candidates to improve representation within the police department. I know we probably would love to use stronger language than that, but we want to make sure that we recommend something that would pass legal muster. I think for historically many years, if there's a tie, it has gone to the white male. And I think what we want to say in as clear a way as we can is that if all things are equal, or if you have two qualified candidates, the tie can now go to the minority. But you still have to have that underlying, they've got to be qualified. They've got to meet the minimum qualifications. So I'm hoping that prioritize the promotion of qualified minority candidates says what we want it to say, but tell me if you think there's a way to say that differently that gets our meaning across.
It's Gary, and I'm not sure you could even say that, to be quite honest with you, but I do know this. If the mayor sends a clear message to the chief I want you promoting minorities. And the chief should know, once he looks at that list, who the minorities are. And if he's got two equal candidates, or then he knows that one's black and one's white, he should promote the black. The chief should do that, take it upon himself without having to be told to do that. And that could alleviate the problem of any kind of legal counsel, at least in my opinion. I'm a lay person, not an attorney. Let me clarify that real quick. But I think you're correct in trying to avoid any kind of legal challenge or whatever we recommend.
Yes, I don't disagree with you, Gary, but we are where we are, and it should have been obvious 5 years ago, but it wasn't. So I think it probably has to be said. The question is, what is the best way to say it?
I think we had a different mayor 5 years ago, but regardless, if you think you can say it and get away with it, go for it.
I mean, all we can do is send it in, and if it gets picked back, so we have to reword it. But I mean, I'm like Margie. It is what it is. That's where we are today. We do have to say it because it hasn't happened.
And it seems to me that the police force can interpret that and execute it, in an appropriate way.
In a legal way.
Yeah, I think there's nothing inappropriate for us to set the expectation for prioritizing promotion of qualified minority candidates. It's not saying relative to anybody, it's just saying prioritize it. And I think we're really more in the ends business than the means business. We want to say, these are what we want to see accomplished. Y'all just figure out how to make it happen in a legal and appropriate manner. And I think that the phrasing on that seems fine to me.
Okay, thank you, David. 36 months on that to realize the change. How do you feel about that time frame? You want to quicker?
Well,
if you're talking promotions, I'd say quicker on that.
Although, if we're talking about, so is that expectation that in 3 years, the supervisory staff demographic will be largely in sync with the county?
Yes.
That might be. I mean, I like that, but knowing how thin we are, from 0 to 5 years of experience, I don't know, that might be a little aggressive, since most of those, I'm sorry, I've got a dog barking in the background. Most of the promotions, I assume, will happen, most of the staffing for these supervisory positions will come from in-house. So I don't know the best way to express it, but so we don't want to make it seem not urgent, because it is urgent. At the same time, we don't want to do something that doesn't recognize kind of the deficiencies of the current staffing for entry and lower ranking police officers who will presumably be promoted to these positions.
So if we said immediate start, and then say 48 months to see changes in demographic population.
Yeah, and you could say, you can significant change. I mean, you can bulk up that change to see significant change, something like that.
I would add the words "or sooner" to that.
Okay. Immediate start, 48 months to see statistical change in demographic rank Mnpd population.
I think somebody.
Yeah.
Okay. Or sooner. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We're good with that?
Yeah.
All right. Going to culture. The morale within the Mnpd suffers because of a lack of transparency. There will be a transparent process for complaints and disciplinary action. Mnpd will publish a standard operating procedure that is readily accessible to sworn personnel as well as the public. Assemble a multidisciplinary team to review and revise SOP on discipline and disciplinary investigations. Publish the document so that it is readily accessible. Communicate the process to all parties involved in the investigative process. 12 months to implement.
Coming up for me from this particular call, and I don't know if it should go under this point in culture or the one about increasing cultural competency. It feels like it should go under morale, but it's sort of this fear of retaliation. I'm not sure of the specific ways you can address it, but it does seem to be something that we've heard from different speakers and even on the call today when thinking about the exit interview. But somehow promoting a sense of safety when making reports. I don't know if that's the way to frame it, but something that moves away from a culture of retaliation against people that make reports or have different identities or go against the grain.
Okay, I think you're right, and we'll see in this block where we put that, because I think that needs to get in there. Demetria.
I would just suggest adding timely, transparent as well, because they could start an investigation and have it go forever.
Where do you want me to add that?
I was thinking it will be a transparent and timely process for complaints and disciplinary action, perhaps.
Okay. Yeah, I think down here somewhere, I think all investigations ought to be completed within 30 days, unless they are terribly complex. And that's been part of the problem, Reggie, correct? Is that officers end up on the Green Mile for months and months and months with no action on their case, only to be put back on the street a year later.
Yes, that's true. Most of those investigations can be done within 30 days. I mean, basically, it's a complaint. If it's a complaint on an officer, you go and interview the person who made the complaint. You interview the officer. You gather that data, and you make a ruling. For the most part, many of those cases could have definitely be done within 30 days. And if not, definitely within 45. But you know, you lose out. These officers lose out by sitting on the Green Mile because now they can't work extra jobs. They basically kind of take your badge away. And so while you're sitting there, you're losing money and a lot more things. So this is one of the reasons why the officers are you know, their attitude is not to do is because they're saying, I've been sitting here 6 months and it doesn't take this long, and I can't work that extra job that I was working to pay my child care. So I think timely manner is definitely needs to be in there, and in some cases, maybe an updated report or something, or at least an update within 30 days. On some of them.
I think we're getting into a dangerous area where we're dictating internal affairs activities in reduced staffing levels that the department is struggling through at this point in time. I think to create a mutually beneficial environment for both the employee and the agency so they can prioritize their workloads. I think depending on the severity of the investigation, you know, if the officer is on the Green Mile for 2 weeks, and then after 2 weeks, he can resume his alternative employment opportunities until it's resolved, puts the onus back on management to prioritize those that are more egregious, and doesn't kill the officer on the Green Mile while awaiting appropriate discipline for something less serious. I mean, I don't know how to word that, but I think just jumping in and saying you wills at a time when we're already having retention issues because of overtime and mandatory overtime, you're going to create an environment for crappy outcomes in terms of bad investigations and clearing things that are maybe bad, or or just not dealing with it appropriate altogether.
Means those officers who have been disempowered sitting on the green mile, that's got to be completed within 30 days, or the department's got to notify the mayor as to why it's taking longer than 30 days. And that way the little stuff, Daryl, that can wait where an officer's not disempowered, like they didn't show up for court or they wrecked a car, you know, those could take longer, but an officer's not being penalized, you know, while they're waiting on the investigation to be completed.
Correct. There's no financial disincentive for them dragging their feet, and there is a financial disincentive for the officer to be punished.
Right.
I don't know that reporting it back to the mayor is the appropriate reporting channel, because quite frankly, he won't give a crap. Any mayor won't, because they got a million other things they're working on, but I think the chief or a captain, deputy chief would care about it, and there is somebody that's in charge of internal affairs and oversight. That's probably the appropriate reporting party to one, you know, to be answering to why is it taking 43 days? Why is it taking 67 days?
I think that that's been the problem, is that those at the upper echelon didn't care.
So is that where the diversity officer, some diversity officer would come in to make sure it was taken care of? Or that would be the person you reported to if it took longer than 30 days?
The question is what's going to incentivize the police department to get that thing done in 30 days? Is it we don't want to report it to the mayor's office, or some other accountability? We don't have to put anything like that in there, but I think it makes it stronger. We'll highlight that.
You need a step of accountability for sure. It's just blending the offices are not truly appropriate. The mayor is supposed to set policy, and the police chief is supposed to, you know, manage and handle all ops related things. In fact, the mayor doesn't even have a legal authority to come in and take over a police department. So I think you need to have an appropriate reporting chain, but there has to be accountability, because the officer cannot be unfairly penalized and put on the sidelines for some indefinite period of time.
So I don't have it in front of me, but I believe either like over the weekend, maybe Dia sent out a sheet that was like data recommendations. And I believe one of the recommendations was like sort of publicly reporting the number of like complaints and stuff against and by officers, and like publicly reporting it. So maybe that could be a part of it, is the length of the investigation. And that way there is like public accountability without necessarily like tying in the mayor's office. I don't know if that's helpful. Let me look and see exactly which document that was.
That is helpful, and that's typically what comes from a strategic plan, where the community and the stakeholders, us being the community and the officers being the stakeholders, both agree that swift justice for them internally is important as well. And then everybody commits through the strategic plan that all internal affairs division cases that are not criminally related, but just civilly related, will be cleared in 30 days. And then a dashboard is created, and the public is able to keep up with that, the chief, the mayor, the council, because there are some cases, obviously, that may include criminal activity that could take longer, but most of the civil infractions, which are just employee-employer type of stuff, should be able to be cleared in 30 days, because it's usually a phone interview at best.
This is Gary. I don't have the time frame, but I do know that the civil service rules actually deal with disciplinary action and what time frame they must be dealt with. That's already written in the civil service rules. Someone may want to pull that up and look at it. I know it's there. I just don't know where, and I don't have a copy of the civil service rules obviously in front of me. But I know they do deal with the disciplinary action and the time frame and the process.
So I tinkered around with this. It now says Metro HR and the public must be notified of any criminal investigations on MNPD personnel lasting longer than 30 days.
I don't think I would use the word criminal.
Okay.
This is going to get into an area where you'll probably have some level of protest from personnel, because personnel actions by law are supposed to be anonymized. So personnel files and stuff are rough.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking about. Go ahead, Gary.
We have some attorneys on here, I'm sure, but I think if it's a criminal investigation, it has to go to the district attorney's office.
And I wanted just to ask, like, what is the mission of the COB, and would anyone be going to step with any of this?
Well, and maybe we don't. Maybe we take this highlighted part out and we just leave it, which is those disempowered will be completed within 30 days.
That's probably fair enough, because that will meet the objectives of the officers, which is getting them back to work or getting them through their discipline so they can get back to work and be re-empowered, which is the goal. And perhaps some of this outside checks and balances that we look to delegate once we're disassembled might actually reside really well with the COB, because that is their call. And part of their charter is to be an eyes, ears, and liaison between the public and the department in terms of performance, fairness, transparency, on and on.
All right, so moving on, the MNPD, and then I wanted some statement around the LGBTQ community within the police department. The MNPD will create a workplace where diversity is acknowledged and celebrated. MNPD will reduce the number of harassment complaints within the department. The MNPD will increase diversity training and training on Title VII each year. Harassment or hostile workplace complaints will be handled within 30 days and resolution communicated to the parties. This is probably where, Whitney, we need to put in something about retaliation. LGBTQ sworn personnel will not be singled out for assignment or placement within the department because of their identity within the population. I want to make sure we're saying that correctly. And MNPD will increase its awareness within the department by strengthening its relationship with the LGBTQ plus Chamber of Commerce and the Nashville Pride Board. That may be scooching over into the Communities Committee, but I'm kind of looking at it from a cultural standpoint. So,
and I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
And for those minority officers, should we also add the National Black Pride, or are we just reaching too much there?
Nope. How do we say that, Mac? LGBT.
It's Nashville Black Pride. No. I mean, down here, Margie, where you mentioned the Chamber and National Pride, that's what I'm saying. We should put Nashville Black Pride.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, right here, what you said, relationship with the LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce, National Pride Board, and the National Black Pride Board. Yeah, we can just go right here behind, yes, ma'am. Behind National Pride. Right behind National Pride Board, and put add National Black Pride Board.
So I said Chamber of Commerce, National Black Pride. and the Nashville Pride Board.
Okay.
But we need the statement right here.
Margie, was one of the first things you mentioned decreasing the number of complaints?
Yes.
Do we want to say that? Obviously, we want less harassment, but do we want to give any institutional incentive to discourage complaints being filed?
No, I think that's the end result. As we talked about the means and the ends, I think that's where we want to end up, is a reduced number of complaints. But I take your meaning that we don't want to discourage complaints.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Right. Okay.
Yes, Demetria.
We want to give them credit for having a liaison, or at least starting the process here.
Say that again.
I said, should we give them credit for already naming a liaison and having her active?
Yeah.
So it doesn't sound like they're starting from square one.
Yeah. Let's see.
About support for LGBTQ police liaison, or whatever her position is.
So the liaison is community facing, and I mean, I want to know that the community's committee is doing that work. It's not covering the LGBTQ community. I guess, I don't know. Like I don't know how much her work was with this.
So what's our problem statement here?
The Mnpd struggles with the inclusion of LGBTQ officers, as well as engagement with LGBTQ communities.
I need to find something more descriptive than struggles. Okay. We'll highlight. So here, harassment or hostile workplace complaints we handle within 30 days and resolution communicated to the parties. Should we take out 30 days and say as soon as possible or expeditiously?
I mean, I like 30 days because I think it's concrete.
So when you say handle, are you talking about investigative? Because actually changing the hostile working place could be more than 30 days.
So we want to go back to 30 days?
No, I think at this point we can keep it expeditiously.
MNPD will create aggressive policy to negate all retaliatory behavior. LGBTQ plus and sworn personnel will not be singled out for assignment or placement within the department because of their identity within the population. MNPD will increase its awareness within the department by strengthening its relationships and then maintain and increase support for the LGBTQ plus MNPD liaison. Spell it correctly. And we had 6 months on that. Do we want to increase that to 12? I know, we're almost finished. I'd like to get through the whole document once, and then we need to vote on it next week so we can get through this document once. I'll send it out as soon as I'm finished with it to everybody, percolate on it, email some during the week, and then we need to be prepared to vote next week. Does that sound good? Okay.
Sounds fair.
All right, culture. MNPD must ensure a trauma-responsive investigation of sexual assault harassment complaints. MNPD doesn't treat internal MNPD complaints in a trauma-responsive manner. Develop a multidisciplinary working group to help MNPD improve trauma-responsive policies. And I'm thinking those are going to be community groups like the Sexual Assault Center, right? The YW. Some of those organizations that are really doing trauma-informed really well. Establish relationships with outside agencies to monitor adherence to new policies. And then consult with the Sexual Assault Agency, the YW, and other NGOs to conduct a blind review of complaints and policies. That might be a little controversial, but if you anonymize them, you might could do some scenario-based training that might be helpful based on the circumstances around, some complaints or some issues. But I don't know how to give me some feedback on that.
I'm still here, but I don't have any feedback. I apologize.
Okay, thank you, Gary. If no feedback, I'll move on. Adopt the Iacp and DOJ's recommendations for how to conduct sexual assault and harassment complaints within the MNPD. This was one of Greta's recommendations, and I think that ought to be in there. Ensure a transparent process and outcome to all complaints.
That one's good.
MNPD should increase training on cultural competency. MNPD falls short on internal training, needs to ensure an equitable and inclusive workforce. And then I had in here to insert the EEOC complaints, but I don't think we have them. We'll see what we've got in the level set packet that we can include. Immediately begin tracking all complaints to determine whether a pattern of misbehavior exists amongst the workforce. Refer all sexual assault investigations to an outside agency in consultation with the district attorney's office. Create a zero tolerance policy around sexual assault and sexual harassment. And then for some reason, this ends up set aggressive goals for applicant diversity. I'm not sure that we'll take that out there. Identify senior staff to fulfill an office of diversity within the chief's office and provide support of positional authority to impact policy and strategic departmental goals.
That's a solid statement, and budget neutral is important.
Yeah, and I'll just again state my preference that that not be created. I doubt that something like that would end up being budget neutral, and I think especially now we have the mayor's office doing their diversity officer positions and staff apparently. That I don't know. I just think that's just not necessarily. I think the police chief, the HR person, the mayor ought to take responsibility for making it happen. It should be built into the culture of the HR department, not kind of not where I don't like the idea of somebody having. But again, that's my view, and others may well disagree with that. I just don't. I don't know.
Is there some way, David, to prioritize this this document or the document that's going to come out and assign it to somebody other than the chief?
I don't know. See, I look at our role as sort of like a board of directors. It's kind of how I look at it, and they may not be appropriate. And, a board really doesn't drill down into an organization. And the board says, this is what our expectations are, sort of our non-negotiables. And somebody, in this case, the mayor, ultimately taxpayers, voters, hold them accountable for achieving this. And, it's a serious document, tons of expectations. There's no mistaking, to the extent that we represent the community, there's no mistaking what our expectations are. So I don't know. It seems to me the chief and the mayor is where the responsibility, the public accountability needs to be. And I don't know. I just think it ought to be just baked into the expectations of the organization rather than a unit created focused on this, like when organizations create ethics officers. Well, I don't know. Again, that's my singular position, and a lot of other people on the committee who might feel differently.
I mean, with all the recommendations we're giving, we want to make sure these are implemented. And, of course, this has to take its leadership from the mayor's office, but of course the new police chief. But I don't want anything to fall on the wayside because there's a lot of things on the new police chief's shoulder, and having someone else kind of being in that position and just being kind of that point person, make sure that these things are happening. So we're talking about cultural competency training. And on that part, I think we need to include anti-bias training, not just cultural competency. And I just feel it becomes a stronger recommendation, more likely to be implemented.
So, David, if we said the new chief may identify senior staff or form a committee of existing personnel to ensure diversity within the Mnpd and provide support and feedback on strategic departmental goals.
If you want him to do it, why don't you say shall?
Well, I think David, it has a problem with telling them what to do. So I'm trying to split the baby in half.
I'm okay with how you have it phrased right there.
I still think it gives the chief the opportunity to do that if he wants to.
Right. And
he or she wants to.
Right. And I'm good with that.
Okay. Okay, Whitney, say what you were saying again, please.
About the retaliation.
I added that in.
Okay. Well, so is that added under the LGBTQ section, or should that be under like the cultural competency or the morale section? Just because I wouldn't want it to seem like that was only for like LGBTQ stuff. Does that make sense?
It's under culture, and it's under harassment or hostile workplace complaints.
Okay. Did I have something else?
And maybe this is not LGBTQ. Maybe this is.
Just like disenfranchised populations.
Let's see. We don't know that it's an increase. The Mnpd. I want to say something about, the fact, like the silent no longer. In other words, that some of these complaints are coming to light within the public.
I've had, public claims of a culture of sexual assault and harassment, maybe.
Does anybody take issue with that? I think it's a true statement.
That's a factual statement.
Right. Let's see. I think it's important that we put in here something about speech and language, because I think words can be extremely harmful, especially if you are a member of an underserved population, and speech can absolutely be a hostile workplace. And so how do you guys feel about the Mnpd will reduce the number of harassment complaints within the department by creating a culturally aware workplace, as well as conduct training on proper speech and behavior?
I like that. I did have a question on, or I don't know, I guess a concern about this, the zero
tolerance.
Zero tolerance, yeah. Is there any concern that that would actually reduce reporting if, people are worried that it will get people kicked out or fired?
It's always been my experience that honestly, you have to go in and fire a couple of folks for doing the wrong thing, and then that's your best teacher.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's why I wanted to know if, like, yeah, in your experience, what would be the best? So thanks.
You end up with policies who are named for particular people. That's, Reggie can probably agree with that as well. That's the John Smith policy. All right, so we're back to Mnpd must ensure a trauma responsive investigation. How do we feel about this bank of recommendations? And this is, this will also, by way of doing this, you will be strengthening the relationships with some of these SME NGOs. I think it could have a two-sided impact. Let's see. Okay, Mnpd should increase training efforts on cultural competency. Mnpd falls short on internal training, needs to ensure an equitable and inclusive workforce. This is about tracking the complaints to determine a pattern of misbehavior, refer all sexual assaults to an outside agency, and that's not harassment, that's assaults, actual assaults. And those should go to the district attorney's office and then potentially the TBI. All right. And then we have these two hanging out here at the bottom, undergo a cultural competency assessment of the hiring practices for increased candidate development, and then hire outside experts to conduct a thorough assessment of cultural competency, policies, testing, and training. Do we like these, or do we want to just take them out at this point?
I think they're fundamentally important. I mean, it's a big point of focus through our entire conversation. This thread runs through almost every thought we've tendered.
Okay. So then that's a good place to end, right?
Or should that go up at the top with the recommendation for the strategic plan? Or should it just stay culture? I mean, I guess that's the only other place I would suggest it go.
So Daryl, help me out with the problem statement. Anybody?
Yeah, I'm running out of gas.
Two. So we need a problem statement here and a recommendation or a desired goal. So we need a problem statement. Oops. Okay. We can work on that this week, those two things. And then I put something down here at the bottom that I just wanted to put in here. I thought it would be helpful on the trauma-informed piece. Relias is an outside agency that works, outside agency that contracts with HHS, Health and Human Services, and trauma responsive agencies will include these 5 things. I will let you read those. The white paper that's only about 4 or 5 pages, you can find at this this link if you choose to. I just thought we've mentioned trauma-informed care. We didn't do a subject matter expert on trauma-informed care. Dia did a great brown bag on that. Dia, could you maybe just talk for just a second about that? So the committee can find it and watch it if they want to.
Yeah, actually, you know what I'll do? I know you guys have been running a long meeting tonight, and I will send out a link on that. But I think for those of you who did not see it, I think what is really fascinating was Judge Sheila Calloway, her discussion on transforming the juvenile court completely inside and out. So in terms of her personnel policies, plus how she approaches individuals who come and families who come through the court through a trauma-informed approach. I think the results on that are very, very interesting, but I'll send the link out.
Great, thank you. I am going to, I'll send this right after we finish the meeting. And I know that this has been a super long meeting. I want to do a quick check-in.
Can I start?
Say again.
This is Sabina. Can I start?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, one thing, I thought that was what we were going to add in the end. So we did put the having a internal assessment on cultural competency. But we didn't put anywhere that there should be on cultural competency or anti-bias training for officers. And I know that kind of overlaps with maybe, I recommend that, but within the department, they need that kind of updated training.
Yeah, Dia, tell me whether we have sort of shied away from a lot of the training stuff because we thought it was an overlap. Tell me again where we came down on what's in our bucket and what's in somebody else's bucket.
So training actually is over in the use of force or policies committee. And so one of the things that we can do is, so this committee has looked at recruitment, retention and promotion, and workforce culture. So needless to say, there's going to be overlap between training and culture and training and recruitment, promotion, retention. So it's tough to slice and dice. That said, I think if members feel very strongly, if there's a point here that really points to training, that's one of the things we can pick up in the chair's call a week from this Wednesday, is just be sure that we're looking at sort of similar approaches here and that area is covered.
Okay, because I'm thinking more like internally, gender bias, racial bias that within the workforce. And that's why bringing that up, that, what kind of training is it for officers and when they're dealing with minority or diverse group of workforce.
Well, one thing we could do is certainly bring to next Monday's meeting the list of all the trainings that are available. I do believe that there's already an anti-bias training, on the list. It's been a long day, so I'd have to just double check.
I didn't know much good things about that, so.
Right. And I do think that there's a broader point that you all are making about culture as well, right?
Okay.
And I think, Sabina, we've got an opportunity in that last, in the last part of the table there to strengthen that and add in something about additional training necessary in this particular area. So we'll work on that for next week.
Sounds good.
Okay, great. Okay, so this has been a great long meeting. We are trying to get to unanimous voting. That's the goal for this. So if you take any issue with any of the recommendations or any part of the table that we've talked about tonight, please don't be shy about voicing those this week. We're hoping that basically we can have a really short meeting next Monday. We've all looked at it, we've all prayed over it, and thought about it over the week, and we've gotten it to where we want it to be, and we can basically just take a vote. So please check in with us during the week, and we appreciate everybody sticking around and being so engaged in a really long meeting, but I think it was very productive. Whitney, do you have anything before we adjourn?
No, thank you so much for your time, everyone.
Okay, great. Anybody?
Hello.
Yes?
Mark, before we adjourn, if you don't mind, anything you email me, email it to the TPSFA address.
Okay, got it.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
This is Dwight Lewis. I've been listening to you all night. I think you've done a tremendous job. I just want to say a couple of things. One is the document that you all are working on. I just hope that you go over it and when you finish it, it will be a document that everybody understands what you mean and what you're saying. Some of the terms that you use. I remember I used to work for the Tennessean, and John Sigenthaler put out a poster on the wall, and it said, "Pity the poor reader." And so you don't want to put out something that people, not just yourselves, but other people don't understand. And one other thing is that I hope you will really consider, really take a good look at somebody mentioned somebody's leaving, an anonymous, so-and-so said this. I think we need to, if I'm leaving a job and I should be able to give my name, I think if David Fox and Demetria, their general manager or their editor, they want to know who that person was. You go back to look at the Washington Post case. It's been a long time ago with the Janet Cook story. She had a little boy who was supposed to be a drug dealer. And she said, this source told me such and such. And it turned out not to be true. And I don't want, if somebody is having an exit interview, you say, well, so-and-so said so-and-so. Well, who was that person? If I'm leaving, I should be able to stand up and say they mistreated me or they treated me poorly or what have you. So I just think we should think about those things, really think about them. But you all did a great job, and I admire you for what you're doing, and I thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you, Dwight. We appreciate you being here with us tonight. John or Eric, do you all have any parting thoughts?
We are definitely not going to inflict any parting thoughts on you guys. Thank you for all your hard work.
Great. Seeing no further, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you, Margie, for all your work.
Margie. Thanks, Dwight.
Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.org.